Okay, so in the previous video, we worked with roles. We assigned permissions to roles. And now in this video, I'm going to work with user and I'm going to assign roles and permissions to users. So for that, let's open the VS Code. And first, I'm going to open the edit page in the roles. And here, let's copy all of them here. And now let's open the edit page in the admin users. And I'm going to import all of them here. Then also let's import the styles and add it here. Then the last one is to add this component with a div, and let's paste it on the form. And also to this div, let's give it a class to be margin top of 4. We have for name, for email, okay, and then paste this one, which is going to be for roles. And let's say roles here, form roles is going to be, and the options here is going to be for roles as well. Then add permissions. Very good. Let's save, and we need to define here roles, which is going to be an array, and permissions also an array. Then on the form, let's add roles empty array and permissions empty array. Like this. Save. Let's open now the user controller. And on the edit form, we added the user as a prop. Let's add also roles, which is going to be role resource collection, and pass here the role model from Spotty and say all like this. And also the same for permissions. Permissions, which is going to be permission resource collection, and pass here the permission model from Spotty and say all here. Okay, very good. Then I think we are okay. Just let's see now on the browser. Yeah, here we have, and I think it's okay. Now on the controller, when we update, we validate the name and the email. Let's say for roles, just I'm going to say sometimes, and it's going to be an array. And here permissions is going to be sometimes, and it's going to be an array. Like this. We update the user. Then we can do the same we have done for roles. Say $user sync permissions and roles. Sync roles first and pass here the request input for roles, and we need to get all the names. So let's say star.names and copy and paste this. Change the sync roles to be sync permissions, and also the input is going to be permissions. Let's save, and I'm going to open also the table plus to see now. Okay, so right now the model has roles. We have the role ID 1 with the user ID 1 for the admin only, and for permissions we have empty. Okay, let's start and work here, and maybe let's change this form to be the same we did on the roles. So the max width is going to be 6XL. And now let's come here and copy the div with table. So here is this div, then going to be the div with the tables for permissions, and after this the table for roles. So here for permission we say not role permission but user permissions, and I'm going to rename that to be user permission. Here we're going to have a different, not roles, but a user ID and permission ID. Okay, also we are going to change the route because this route is only to remove from the role. Then here we have roles and ID name action is going to be not role permission but user roles. Let's say something like this, then rename all of them with user role ID, and here is going to be also user ID, like this. And I think we are okay for now. Let's save and let's see what we get on the browser. And we have an error. Yeah, permission parameter is required for roles permission destroyed. Okay, so let's remove this one. For now. And yeah, here we have roles, and because we are in the admin, we can see we have the one role, but we don't display it here. And let's see why. On the view, edit, we have permissions, we have roles, and the user with yeah, because now the user has the roles as an array with only names, but we need also the IDs here. We need the roles as an object. For that, let's open the user controller, and on the edit, we say user resource, which has the roles get role names and get permission names, but we need as an object for that. Now let's create a new resource, and I'm going to say artisan make resource, and I'm going to name it user shared resource. Hit enter. Let's close this, and now let's open the user resource here, and I'm going to copy what we have inside and paste it in the user shared resource. So paste it here, save this, and now I'm going to use this user shared resource on the inertia request. So let's open, let's close this, and now let's open the inertia and the inertia request. And here, when we share the user, instead of user resource, let's say user shared resource. And also let's remove that user resource from here and save. Close this one. Now to the user resource, this is going to be for us what we want to edit and delete. So here for roles, I'm going to say a role resource collection and pass here $sign of this when loaded. the roles relationship, and the same for permissions. Let's say permission resource collection, and pass $sign this when loaded the relationship permissions like this. Save. Okay, now let's see if we go here and refresh. We don't see the name and the role. And why is that? So let's inspect the element. Edit permissions roles user. Yeah, because we need to load the relationship on the edit here. Let's say $sign user load and pass roles relation and also the permission relationship. And now save. Come here and refresh, and let's close this. And now we can see the roles here. We have one role, admin. Okay. Now let's work. So on the update, we say something like this. Good. If I say, let's go back and work with this one, the second user. I'm going to give it a moderator role, and I'm going to give it a create update and delete user. Say update user. Let's go and see now. And why we don't see that? Let's go to the controller. So we say user sync roles and until the request input role are not names. Name, get only the name, not names. My mistake. And refresh. Give it a moderator and create user. Update. Go back. And we have moderator and create user. Good. Now let's add them here. So for that, I'm going to go to the edit roles and copy the watch and mounted from here and go to now to the edit users and paste that in here. We need to make some changes. First, on mounted, we have form permissions, prop user permissions, and also we need to add a form dot rows to be equal with props dot user dot roles like this. And now let's change also here. We watch for the props role, and now in this one also something like this. Say now form dot roles is going to be equal with props dot user dot roles, and here props user permissions, and refresh. And as you can see, okay, good. Now also let's go to the user controller, and on the update I'm going to say return back, and then if we want we can return back here. So let's give it one more permission. Let's say update user, and we have permissions down there. Okay, now let's do the same for the create, and then let's create a controller to revoke roles and permission from user. So on the create now, let's open the create page inside the users. And the first thing is to import the view multi-select on the create. Then let's import also the styles. So copy that, come here and paste that in, and then let's add the multi-select for roles and permissions. I'm going to copy both of them here, copy and paste on the create. So we have a form with text, password confirmation, and now let's add the form permissions and roles, and also on the form we don't need terms here, just say roles, which is going to be an empty array, and permissions, an empty array. We need to define permissions and roles here, so let's say define probe roles, which is going to be an array, and permissions also an array. And let's save. And the user controller, I'm going to go down where we have the edit and copy this and paste it on the update, on the create, sorry. Here we need to paste that. So we added the roles and permissions to the create also. And with that, if I come here and first let's go back, let's create new user. We can see we have roles and permissions. Okay, now let's work with the store. So here we create the user and we need to assign the user with the user variable, and then say if the request, we can check if, or we can do directly the same, because if it is empty, is going to remove everything. So let's do that. Let's paste this, save, and come here and refresh, and let's create a new fake user, test user. So let's say test email.com, add the password and also password confirmation, say test user, and not delete user but create user. And let's create this user. Here we have, go to the edit and has a test and create user. Very good. The last thing we need to do is to revoke roles and permissions. So for that we need to create controllers, and let's come here and say artisan make controller. Let's give it a name. For roles I'm going to say remove a role from user controller, which is going to be invocable, and then revoke permission from user controller, and also this one is going to be invocable. Close this and let's create the routes. So let's open the web routes, and here what I'm going to do, let's do something like this for this one, and I'm going to copy and paste because it's going to be almost similar. Here we need to say user, then users, then user here, then permissions and permission also. Okay, revoke permission from user controller, and let's name it users. Permissions destroy, we need the user and the permission prop here, then paste one more time and change the roles to be users, then here role to be user, permissions now is need to be roles, and permission single role, and let's say remove role from user controller class, and it's going to name, I'm going to name it users roles destroy. We need the user and role here. Okay, now let's copy this user roles destroy. Let's go in the edit user, and we need to navigate. Here we have roles, and to this link here, bind that another route with that name. Here now we need an array with user ID and also the role ID. We have here user role, so let's say user role ID, and also for the user's permission destroy. So copy that and scroll down. Now for the permissions, replace this one with this and save. Go to the web and first work with a revoke permission from user. We don't need the request, remove that, and say here user model $user, and also permission model from Spotty $permission is going to be a redirect response type, and we need to say user and revoke permission and pass here the permission and return back, not retry, but return back. Okay, save, close this, and work with a remove role from user. And also we don't need the request, we need the user model to bind here, $user, and role from models $role is going to be a redirect response type. And here first we need to say $user, remove role, pass here the role, and return back. Return back and save it. And we are okay. Now let's see. If I refresh, we are to this test user, and let's revoke this one. And yeah, we revoked, and also let's revoke this. Okay, but we don't update it. We need to update also the, yeah, if I refresh, yeah. So for that, we need to work with this so I forget to say here not props role, but props user. And now if I save and come here and refresh, let's give it a moderator, user, test, and also all the roles just for testing. Say update, and yeah, we have all of them. Now if I revoke this, as you can see, we updated. One more thing, go to the Inertiajs.com, and you can see on the links. I'm going to zoom it for you. I want to use here the scroll preservation, and we cannot preserve scroll to the link, as you can see here, and you can read more here to the inertia. And let's do that in the edit when we call that link for revoke. This one. So let's paste here, and the same on the permissions. So let's paste that one here. If I save now, and let's go to the roles and permissions. So let's revoke the test or the user, and you can see here revoke As you can see, we stay here, we don't scroll up, and the same we can do for permissions. Okay friends, that's it about this video. I hope you enjoy and see you in the next one. All the best.